Hi, I'm Janice from Joyful Heart Yoga. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to do a short yoga practice, really just focusing on the obliques. So side plank is one that we like to do for that, but it also has some shoulder strength component. This is going to allow us to focus on the obliques, taking out that shoulder work as we just bring some awareness to those muscles. So you might like a blanket underneath your head. And we'll go ahead and lie down. So you can start with your feet on the floor. They can be extended or you can feet on the floor with bent knees, hands to the belly. As you take a couple breaths here, just beginning to bring awareness to the breath and to the body. And then if your feet were extended, just bringing your feet so that they're about hip distance apart. You can bring your hands to those hip points, that in the front of your hip, and just start to bring awareness to your pelvis. So we're going to tilt the pelvis forward, lifting or arching the back away from the floor, and then tucking the tail, right? Pressing the low back into the floor. So we're not lifting the hips off of the mat. There's just this kind of tilting, this rocking of the pelvis. Noticing how that feels. And then coming back to neutral or neutral for you so that those hip points are facing relatively up towards the sky. There's a little bit of space between your low back and the floor, but you're not tilted and really arched in the low back. We want to try to keep that neutral pelvis as we start to draw the lower belly in. The arms are going to reach wide into a T or maybe a little bit more at an angle, palms down, as you start to lift the knees over the hips. And you can bring the knees and the lower legs together. So there's this drawing in of the lower belly. And then we're going to slowly let the knees drop over towards the right, maybe 45, maybe less. So you'll start to feel those muscles turn on and then come back to center and then start to let the knees drop towards the left and then draw back to center. So if we keep this nice and slow and controlled, really isolating, feeling that work happening, and we're trying to do this without letting the opposite shoulder kind of lift off of the floor. So the arms are out by our sides, the palms gently pressing so we feel that groundedness. But as you do this side to side, going slow so that we're not using momentum. We're letting those muscles turn on. As we lower, we start to feel it, and then we use them to pull the knees back to center. So we're not going all the way to the floor. You're finding that range of motion where you can lower with control, hold it, so maybe even pause for a moment and then draw it back to center. And as you do this, try to release any tension in the neck and the face, right? So sometimes we can let that get tight as we're doing this. It's a lot of work. So this might be enough reps for you. Maybe get one more at each side. And then you can either hug the legs in or place the feet on the floor. Just take a moment to notice. And then just because we're here, let's just take this into a more resting stretch. So let your arms reach out. You might shift your hips a little to the left. And now we'll let the knees drop towards the right. And if they don't come all the way to the floor, maybe you have a blanket or a block to put underneath that bottom knee. And we're getting that twist and sensation here and just resting. So a little bit more passive stretch. So we worked, now we're just stretching. Gently bringing the knees back up to center, shifting your hips a little to the right as you let your knees drop over to the left. And you might have more or less range going in one direction. So if you need that support underneath your left knees, and surrender into this stretch. Coming back up through center, letting your hips find neutral, hands to the belly, maybe widening just a little windshield wiper. Close your eyes and take a few breaths. And I will leave you here. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day.